Here is a job interview unlike any you will ever sit through. You're up for one of the most powerful posts at the Justice Department, the office that decides which police departments, which victims programs, which states get federal money. And on the other side of the table are the United States senators who get to vote on whether you're hired. There's just one problem. For years, on social media, you called some of them frauds, thugs, and clowns, and you walked into that room without a single answer, ready for the moment they would read your own words back to you. That is exactly what happened to a Trump administration nominee, and Senator Sheldon Whitehouse made him sit in every second of it. This is a Senate Judiciary confirmation hearing. The nominee is up to lead the Office of Justice Programs, the arm of the DOJ that hands out grants to states, cities, police forces, and victim services. Whitehouse, a Democrat on the committee, doesn't open with the tweets. He opens with a trap of a question. Were you prepared for this hearing? Because what he's about to demonstrate is that somehow the nominee was not.
You have tweets that call Donald Trump and Kamala Harris two clowns. You have tweets that call Senator Murkowski almost as dumb as Kamala. You have tweets that call Senator Collins a fraud. You have tweets that call Senator Padilla, who sits on this committee, a thug. You have tweets that call Senator Schiff a fraud. He also sits on this committee. And you undertook no preparation to face questions about that as you come before the Senate Judiciary Committee?
No, Senator.
Let's be precise about what these are, because it matters. These aren't quotes an opponent stitched together. They are the nominee's own posts. And notice he spread the insults around. He called Trump and Kamala Harris clowns, both parties in one shot. But the ones that count in this room are the last two: Senator Padilla, called a thug, and Senator Schiff, called a fraud. And both of them sit on the very committee, deciding his future. Then the detail that makes a confirmation lawyer wince. He admits he never flagged any of it to the Justice Department team that prepped him. The single most predictable thing that happens in a confirmation hearing is that senators read your old posts out loud. He had nothing ready. And this isn't just about hurt feelings. Whitehouse turns to why it actually matters for the job.
Having called Senator Padilla a thug at least 5 times and Senator Schiff a fraud, what reasonably could they expect about you giving California programs a fair hearing if you're put in charge of OJP?
Every state and every jurisdiction would expect that they would go through the process of applying for grants with the Office of Justice Programs, and those grant applications would be administered and reviewed through the process of the department.
Yeah, that's what they would expect. And then there'd be a guy at the head of the program who thinks that the senators involved are a thug and a fraud. How do you convince us that you're not going to let that personal bias against these two individuals affect your judgment about California programs, particularly programs that, we often write in letters saying, we work with this program, we think they do a good job, please give it every due consideration consistent with your responsibilities. That's a pretty standard thing. How do you respond to a letter from somebody you've called a thug or somebody you've called a fraud when they support a program that you're asked to decide on?
Because I believe that the Office of Justice Programs has a mission to support the entire country, every state and every city, and protect our communities, irrespective of the elected leadership that exists there today or tomorrow.
So just trust me, I guess, is what you're saying.
This is the real substance, and it's a fair question, not a gotcha for its own sake. The Office of Justice Programs decides grants for states, and California is home to the 2 senators he insulted. So the question writes itself. If you've publicly called a state's senators a thug and a fraud, how are those senators supposed to trust you to judge their state's applications fairly? And to be fair to the nominee, his answer is a reasonable one. The office serves the whole country, regardless of party. He was a practicing lawyer for years. He'll be a good steward of taxpayer money. Give that its weight. But Whitehouse's four-word reply, "So just trust me," lands. Because a confirmation hearing exists for exactly one reason. Trust me is not supposed to be enough. And then comes the sharpest exchange of the day, the one that turns the room.
Why should Judge Boasberg, the chief judge of the D.C. Circuit, be impeached?
I don't have an opinion on Judge Boasberg.
You had one when you twice said that he should be impeached on tweets.
So, Senator, I suspect that you're quoting retweets or comments to other tweets. It would be nice to have...
No, they're your tweets. You're the one who's responsible for them. You're responsible for knowing what you said. Don't put it on us to have to explain to you your own tweets. This is your mess, not ours. You're the one who tweeted impeach him. If you can't explain that, that's on you.
Watch the move the nominee tries here, because it's a real one. He tweeted twice that a senior federal judge in Washington, Judge Boasberg, should be impeached. Asked why, he first says he has no opinion. Then, cornered, he suggests maybe those were retweets or replies, not things he wrote himself. And, in fairness, that nuance is sometimes valid. A retweet isn't always a full endorsement. But Whitehouse refuses to let it become the senator's problem to solve. They're your tweets. You're responsible for them. This is your mess, not ours. And the nominee's final answer, that it would help him to see the context of his own tweet, is the exact moment it falls apart. Because he's now asking the committee to explain his words back to him. So what do you actually take from this? Be fair to the nominee first, because that's the job. Insulting politicians online isn't a crime. Plenty of people do it. And he's right that a role like this is meant to serve everyone, regardless of party. He may well hand out those grants even-handedly. But a confirmation hearing was never about what you might do. It's about whether you can stand behind what you've already said. And on that one test, he walked in unable to explain his own public words to the very people holding a vote over his future. Whitehouse didn't twist anything or invent anything. He simply read the nominee's receipts back to him and let the silence finish the job. That's the whole lesson of this clip. In that room, your own words show up, whether you're ready for them or not.